Alright, let's move on to the second part of investment appraisal, that is the payback period. So, what is payback period? Payback period, it simply tells us the time taken to recover the investment. To recover the investment. Okay, let's try to understand this with an example over here. It says that an organization is considering a project which has an initial investment of $40,000, okay, and is expected to generate cash flows of $12,500 each year for the first 2 years, and then $8,000 in year 3 and year 4, and then $10,000 in year 5. Now, one thing that needs to be considered and noted over here is that in payback period we don't use the accounting profits. Like in the past example, for the accounting rate of return we were using the accounting profits. No, over here we won't be using that. Instead we will be considering the cash inflows over here. The timing of cash inflows matter over here in order to calculate the time it will take to recover our investment. Okay, let's try to understand this using the example over here. Okay, let's note down the years over here. So there is year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then let's write down the cash inflows. So there is cash inflow of 12,500 in year 1 and year 2 as well. Then we have $8,000 in year 3 and year 4, and then we have $10,000 in year 5. Okay, then let's plot the cash outflows as well. Over here we just have one cash outflow, which is the initial investment. At the time of initial investment, of course, we have invested some amount, so we treat it as a cash outflow. And then let's make another column for the balances. So over here, as in year 1 there is no cash inflow, which means that on net basis there is an outflow of $40,000 in year 0, but in year 1 there is no cash outflow. Instead there is an inflow of $12,500. This means that we have recovered some of our investment. How much we have recovered? $12,500 of our investment. This means that $27,500 is now left to be recovered. Then after year 2, another $12,500 have been recovered, which means that at the end of year 2, $15,000 are needed to be recovered. Then in year 3 we have recovered a further $8,000. So at the end of year 3 we need to recover further $7,000. And then in year 4, as we have cash inflow of $8,000 and the amount that needs to be recovered over here is $7,000, this means that we have fully recovered all of our investment. Okay, so how much time did it took to recover the total investment? So it took a total of 3 years first of all, and then in the 4th year we have a cash inflow of $8,000, but we needed only $7,000 for the recovery. This means that it took less than the whole year to recover this amount. Now how we are going to calculate this? Over here we take an assumption that this $8,000 was generated on constant basis over the 12 months. This means that we will divide this $8,000 with 12, which comes up to $666 0.67 per month. This means for each month we generated this amount, $666. Okay, and how much do we need? We needed $7,000. Okay, so let's divide these both numbers in order to identify the number of months it took to recover this investment. 666.67. So let's divide it with 7,000. This comes up to 10.5. This means that it took a total of 3 years and 10 months and 15 days to recover this investment. We can also round this up to 3 years and 11 months as well. Okay, hopefully you are able to understand how do we calculate the payback period. Now, a key difference that we have noted over here from the accounting rate of return was that in payback period we use the cash inflows, while the accounting rate of return we use accounting profits. Let's note some of the differences over here. The payback period versus the accounting rate of return. So the first one is that over here we use the cash inflow, while in accounting rate of return, what do we use? We use the accounting profits. Alright. The second difference to be noted over here is that the payback period, it provides us with a timeline for the recovery of investment. But in the accounting rate of return, it simply tells us the rate of return that we are going to be getting on our investments over here. Now both of these methods are very easy to understand. They can be understood by someone who does not belong, who is not an accountant or does not belong to the profession of finance. Yet at the same time there are many disadvantages or lackings in both of these techniques of investment appraisals, which we will be discussing once we have covered the advanced techniques such as net present values and IRR as well.